This video will show you how to make a moving floating point for your video game project. Moving floating point can actually be useful in creating projectiles that your character might have to avoid, or an enemy that will move back and forth across your level. So in order to make a floating moving point, what we actually have to create first is a function for that point to move along. So I'm going to go ahead and define a function. Now, in this case, I want to use function notation instead of just y. So I'm going to use, in this case, f of x is equal to 3. And let's say this is going to go from -10 less than or equal to x less than or equal to -2. Now, those less than or equal to symbols are important. You'll see why in just a bit. So now I want to create an actual point along this line. Now, usually to create a point, what I can do is say, pick a number that's in its domain, so I'll pick -5, and I can write f of -5. And that'll give me just a static point right here at -5 and 3, which is f of -5. But in order to make it move, I'm going to need to use a parameter. So I'm going to go ahead, and in this case, I'm going to use the parameter b1. And I'm going to be finding f of b1. So I'll go ahead and add my slider, and now we should see a point that moves back and forth. Now, if you guys will notice, it doesn't seem to stay on this page, and that's because our point B is going outside of the domain. So I actually have to make the domain for B match the domain for F. So this one I only want to go from -10 to -2. So now when I hit play, you'll notice that it can go back and forth without becoming invisible somehow. Now this is why you have to be careful with your endpoints, because in your domain for your function, let's say I used less than instead of less than or equals. Well, what's going to happen is I'm going to notice that when it reaches this -2, it disappears for a second. I don't want that to happen. So let's make it equal to, that way we can have our point existing at all times. Now we can make another type of floating point by, let's make another one. So let's make another one here. K of x is equal to, let's say, 2 times x minus 2 plus 1. And let's say this one is going to go from 1 less than or equal to x less than or equal to 4. And again, I'm going to make another little floating point here. So I'm going to go ahead and create a coordinate with parentheses. I will write, in this case, b2, comma, k of b2. And let's add our slider. Of course, I have to change my domain settings for b2. Since k of x is going from 1 to 4, this also needs to go from 1 to 4. If I hit play, I'll get a point that's moving across that line. The only thing left is to make it a solo floating point, because we don't want these lines to be in the way. So all I have to do is unclick the lines. The red one's gone, the purple one's gone. And now I have points that are just floating back and forth. There you have it.